And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because some people on Facebook really don't like being told you don't know what facts are. You keep using that word. I do not think you means what you think it means. And I just botched that up because I didn't have enough coffee tonight. Part of this is also to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I am your main host. I'm known as Shujin all over the place. You can find me under pretty much all social media under that name. Let me go ahead and introduce you to everybody. We do have a truncated group. Don't worry about it. It's actually intentional, sort of. Starting over from the left coast, over into Calgary. Good evening, Dallin.
Good evening. Good to be back.
Welcome back. Back over towards the east coast, over here just north of me into Ontario, Canada. Good morning, Heretic Woman.
Good morning.
Bouncing over to the left a little bit and down into the middle of your bingo card into the Midwest of the U.S. Good evening, Bridget.
Good evening.
And across the water over to Paris, France. Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning. I'm sorry I'm not much to look at today.
That's all
I just
right.
woke up like 10 minutes ago.
We appreciate it.
There's a picture in an attic somewhere getting prettier.
Yeah. There's I guess it really just means you're truly suffering for your art, Joseph.
My name's not Art.
No, that's
was
my
coming.
friend in Toronto. Who's got the weird bird noise going
Art's
on?
my boyfriend. Oh yes, I suffer for him.
Yes, we talked about this last week. He's got Hugin and Munin out there who are watching over him, apparently.
Is that the squawking bird?
Birds.
Oh, it's the
Multiple.
caw fest.
Yes.
What
I'm
kind
having
of
my
bird?
coffee and the crows are having their caw, whatever.
Oh, okay, that's crows. Okay. I missed that last week.
Yes.
Oh,
Apparently.
Shujin, sorry for the tangent.
Nothing. No, that's fine. It's all mathematics involved.
I was going to say, how is this different from any other time?
Because it's starting right at the very beginning of it all. That's why.
The trip is more fun when you take unexpected right turns.
And that right there encompasses all that you need to know about Kerbal Space Program. But that's a whole
Okay,
other
those
time.
are damn loud crows. Like, is that just because they're French or what? Is they like, sacre bleu?
You seem to hear everything around me better than you hear my voice.
I don't know,
Yes,
it's just...
They just seem to possess that je ne sais quoi.
Je ne sais quoi.
Or as they say in French, I don't know what.
Je ne sais pas.
Okay, you just won
Well
the
played,
internet.
sir.
Show's
Yeah,
over. We're
well
done.
played, sir.
That's it. Roll credits. Thank you, Dallin. Go ahead and start putting in the drop-down music now.
Yeah, good night, everybody. There's no way I'm fixing that in post. That's too good.
That's exactly the way it's supposed to be. So thank you for joining us, everybody. So that everybody understands what's going on, yes, we are down a couple of hosts, and that's sort of by design. Chris has got stuff that he needs to be awake for tomorrow morning, or actually today morning for him, so he's bowed out. Unredo Tech is a little on the tuckered side, so he's also taking some time off, and Joe is on the road. And he has already let me know yesterday, and I believe I can quote, Timmy's Wi-Fi is not going to cut it this time. Got it. No worries. So, of course, for all of you guys, hope that you have a good day off. And Joe, of course, safe travels. Don't be calling me for bail. I already told you about that. Anyway, I have been busy for the last 5-6 days, almost, piecing my computer back together again. We can talk about that another time later, but I will go as far as to say I have a new countdown system, which I'm going to proudly show off for you guys, because normally speaking, I would be using my phone, but as it stands right now, with the new setup that I've got, I have myself a new 5-minute countdown timer that's going to be right on the screen for a change.
You
Which
have
is-
5 minutes to reach minimum safe distance.
Yes, I do, and it's going to work out just fine that way. So, with apologies, Noah, Heath, Lucinda, and Eli, and all of the patron people over there, Let me go ahead and get you guys started with your 5-minute freestyle, which starts right now. I had gone ahead and originally written down for myself a different 5-minute freestyle. I was going to go ahead and talk about how at the Democratic National Convention here in the U.S., there was this whole complaint about all of you Bernie or bust people are all, well, I forget exactly what term it was, but basically stupid, ridiculous, idiots, whatever term, doesn't really much matter. What matters was I was going to go ahead and say, you know, this is how we sound to some people when we come out swinging really hard. You don't have to do that, and you can make your point by drawing them in and letting them hang themselves with their own rope. But turned out something else ended up happening, and I've got, yes, I'm going to name drop for a second here. I've got Sam Mulvey from Ask an Atheist with Sam Mulvey to thank for this one, sort of. See, I did post this on Facebook, but I'm going to go ahead and put it out there for everybody anyway. A couple of days ago, or earlier this week, Sam had posted up that the folks over in Clark County, Washington, issued an In God We Trust proclamation, basically a congratulations on the anniversary of In God We Trust being in there. And it was specifically posted to County Commissioner David Madori's Facebook page. Now, I tried to figure out if this was a personal or a professional page, or I should say an official page. I'm not entirely certain one way or the other. What I do know, however, is that I was blocked from commenting on that page, which is rather unique. I've only ever blocked one person myself, and, well, as we know, of course, there's one person in particular, and they richly earned it. But I wanted to pose this one to you guys with the 3 minutes that I've got left to read for you what I wrote and to have you figure out, was I just too nasty, or do some people just need to grow a little bit of a skin? So this is what I wrote, and again, it was deleted within 5 minutes of my posting it, and I was blocked. So let's see what you think about it. My post goes as follows, quote, "Excuse me, but the document you've quoted from is the Declaration of Independence, English citizens declaring to its own government that they are leaving because of the unfair treatment. It's a Dear John letter. What you are celebrating is a motto born out of fear of those godless pinko communist Soviets, a fear that had manifested in the guise of Joseph McCarthy and his Red Scare witch hunts. I, and I'm sure many, would suggest quoting and celebrating the preamble to the Constitution instead, an opening that speaks to our fellow countrymen from the very first of us to the last. We the people." In 3 words, Governor Morris of New York encompassed everyone setting forth on the soil in what would be called the Great Experiment. There were no caveats, no addendum, no postscript, no asterisk. I live on the other side of the country from you, born in what is now Brooklyn, New York. I hold no sway in your events. But as someone who has an appreciation for the force of language, I ask you to reconsider such an event in the future. Because, as we have seen before, people punched down enough have an annoying habit of eventually punching back. For that, I was blocked from his page and disallowed from commenting any further to anything to do with him. And apparently there is a history of this person selectively culling dissenting opinions from his page. Now, I have no idea if this is actually his personal page or his official page. If it's his personal page, well, he's free to do whatever the hell he wants with it. I mean, that's kind of the nature of the beast. But if this is his official page, if this is the one for the commissioner, then there's a serious, serious breach of public trust and First Amendment rights. Now, you want to go ahead and say that Facebook can go ahead and stop you from posting That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly understandable. But if you're using it in an official capacity, it doesn't matter what Facebook wants. It's what the American people deserve and are supposed to have according to the law.
Who is this?
You should know that. I sure as hope you're doing the right thing. I have no idea what you're making comment on now. But you can still hear me, right?
Yeah, who are you talking about?
Yes, I can hear you.
I was talking about the what was his title again? Commissioner? Yes, from Washington State. So
Okay, right.
anyway, let's get us going over here.
You make him sound like like any everyday apologist. They're notorious for doing that.
Well, yes, see, that's...
I see that from a lot of politicians on Facebook, though, on their, government pages. If there's a dissenting opinion, you're blocked, and your comment is deleted. Just boop.
Exactly. That's the big problem with that.
That's not democracy.
No, it's not. Speaking of which, yes.
I was going to say, why does this surprise any of us? Governments in certain states, they flaunt the Constitution. They impose religious-based laws, even though it is constitutionally illegal to do so. But they don't care because who's going to stop them?
Well, if they're
flooding, stop them.
If you want to talk to the representatives here in Indiana, you have to end up bidding money to have lunch with them or something.
Well,
if they're flouting religious laws, that means they're vying for a dictate. So.
Yep. Speaking on to that,
pissed off crow out there.
Crow agrees.
What would happen if Kitty Cow could hear the crows in Paris? That's what I want to know.
That one spazzing cat.
Yeah, I'm just glad mine can't hear it because she'd be like clawing up my back trying to get at them.
Well, I've already heard about several
Kitty
dogs
Cow
that
has joined the show.
Yep.
Yes, Kitty Cow.
And I've heard of several dogs that have listened to have listened to scenes from Zootopia and have joined a howl. Imagine that.
I used to watch National Geographic on TV when I still had my dog. And depending on what I was watching, like if it was a lion or something going to stalk its prey, he would actually jump down off the couch, get in front of the TV, and start growling. And the second the lion pounced, he'd start barking. I was like, what is your problem?
Got delusions of grandeur right there.
Apparently.
Well, the dog was a football with legs, so you don't have an inferiority complex.
What are you going to do? So, let's handle the usual stuff. News has been negligible, unfortunately, for me at this point. I have not heard anything.
I have not either.
I'm in renovation land, so...
Well, specifically in this case, Saudi Arabian. But as of the recording of this show, it is now 4 years, 1 month, 14 days since Raif Badawi was unjustly incarcerated for thought crime. Our thoughts continue to be with you and your family. We'll keep hoping. So anyway, if you are watching live, please feel free to join us to a certain degree. Over here on the side, you can use the question and answer system. Send us stuff and let us know that you're watching and some questions that you might have for us. If you'd like to live tweet at us, you can do that as well at HolyCrapTV if you'd rather do that. And of course, I've got Facebook open at the same time. I'm hoping I don't break anything, but this is, this is what happens. This is called stress testing. Just going to be fun, assuming I don't piss off the great God Murphy, but we don't believe in God. So whatever.
Well, I've moved to 3 screens now myself, so I hear ya.
I'm still only on 2.
I had to go 3 because I started doing live radio simultaneous broadcasts with Hangouts, so Yeah, you can't manage that in 2 screens.
I don't have enough real estate on my desk for 3 at this point.
Yeah, somebody might have seen my Facebook post about 2 weeks ago when I said that my craft table that had a corner dedicated to podcasting has now become my podcasting table with a corner dedicated to crafts.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see how this plays out. So, a little while ago, before we went to air, it was just myself, Heretic Woman, and Dallin at first, and we were kind of getting a little worried about who else was or was not going to be joining us because, don't really want to be talking about American politics. Well, we're technically not going to. We're going to use it as a springboard to basically talk about the good and the bad of having more than just a 2-party political system. And that's why I was even saying, if it turns out that it's just, the 3 of us, that's okay, because you guys have got the perspective of having more than just 2 political parties, major political parties in Canada, which works out fine. And Joseph over there in, if I remember right, in Paris, didn't you say that was something like 5? I think it was major political organizations.
Yeah, 5. 2 major ones and 1 extreme right, relatively minor ones, and there's about 3 or 4 others, and the list of other parties are countless. So.
And of course, as we know full well, Bridget, officially it's a quote unquote 2-party system majorly, but we know full well, unfortunately, that in a lot of places it's much more a 1-party system because of various legal loopholes that have been done over the years, and you've seen how that's played out too. Mm-hmm. So we're basically going to use that as a springboard off of everything else. Last night during the Friday night show, which we still have to kind of talk about that, Del. Off the air. Last night during the Friday night show, it was Joey and myself, and during some break time, when we could talk between each other only, I was trying to figure out whether or not the show, I should say, should have any kind of official stance on the political clown car that is the U.S. politics scene right now. And come to the end of the show, I will have our official stance. I have really been thinking hard about it. As much as I have vanity on my side, and it is my show, I kind of feel uncomfortable about putting out an official stance for the show on any particular item. There have been a couple of them that I've done that have been major items, and I'd like to think that I've had a very humanistic perspective and outlook for us, and I would sincerely hope that I've not made anybody on the show feel like I overstepped. So this is one of those ones where I've really thought long and hard about it, and again, I'm hoping that everybody's pretty much on board. Mm-hmm. But
I would tell you if I wasn't. So
yeah. Well, you really don't. Nobody knows what it is that I'm going to put out there yet. But I'm sure that I'll hear about it one way or the other when we're all said and done.
I can sum up my stance in 2 words. We're screwed.
Well, actually, that wasn't the 2 words I thought you were going to go with.
No, but
yeah, I was thinking it would be something a little more colorful, but hey.
Well, this is not a Power of 10 show.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
True. Yes.
Actually, I thought that you were going to say Supreme Court.
Well, that's very important, but just from where I'm sitting, looking at poll numbers and all that's transpired in the last few days, we're screwed.
Yep.
Did you guys see my Ron Jeremy post from the other day?
I did.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Thank you. In other words, if you're gonna get screwed, may as well be done by a professional. Ron Jeremy for president.
Somebody who has all of his original hair, as a matter of fact.
Yep. The
All over
hedgehog.
this
The
goddamn
hedgehog.
body.
Yep.
I always wondered
Refresh.
when Carrie Fisher said, when someone get this big walking carpet out of my way, I wonder if that's who she was actually thinking of.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very
Shujin
good-
did bring up a good point, though. Supreme Court. That's been my thing,
Yes.
is Supreme Court. But
Very,
with all the
very important.
But with all the infighting I'm seeing and all that other stuff, some of the Bernie bros are all like, screw the Supreme Court. We don't care. We're just going to torch the place and watch it burn.
Yeah.
Ah.
Well,
And that's
I
going to
think
screw us
about
for the next 30 or 40 years. Thanks.
Well, I think about the what was it? The Bush-Gore election.
Yeah.
Now, I take this claim with a huge grain of salt because I don't really trust the guy. But Michael Moore had a few things to say about it back in the day.
Right.
Well, apparently he took responsibility for making the election so close because he encouraged so many people to vote Nader, who was the independent. Now, what I'm hearing a lot of is that there was rumor that Bernie was going to run as an independent, which would then split the vote on the left from, even the, tolerable left to the, oh my God, why am I even affiliated with you left? But split it to the point where Trump could just basically walk in because there's not enough opposing votes to withstand him. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think Bernie has actually thrown in with Hillary, hasn't he?
He has,
didn't.
but I'm seeing a lot of, this is just noise off of my Facebook, posts and things, but I'm seeing a lot of people threaten to vote for Trump or vote third party because Bernie didn't get the nomination.
Oh no, I know. I've been seeing all the butt hurt too. But
and
it's
from
like
looking at some of the polls, I'm concerned. I'm very concerned.
Yeah. And
Trump could win it. He could.
Yeah. I just hope that if he does, well, okay.
I look at 2000 and I say 2000 all over again.
Yeah. All I'm hoping is that because when Bill Clinton was in the House, or when Bill Clinton was president, then you ended up getting Republicans in the Congress and the Senate. Towards the end, which made him basically an ineffectual president because he couldn't get anything pushed through. Same thing with Obama right now. You've got Republicans in both houses. He really can't make a move.
Right.
So the big thing would be if Trump became president, make sure your two houses end up getting full of Democrats so that he actually looks like the impotent toupee-wearing moron that he actually is.
But that's not going to happen.
The
polls that I'm seeing is that the GOP is going to retain control of the House and Senate.
You know what? We're at a point where I was going to save it until the end of the show to wrap it all together, but considering where we are right at the moment, considering where we are right at the moment, I think it's probably going to be better if I go ahead and I lay that piece out now, because we're right on the cusp of the whole damn thing anyway. So, spoiler alert. Sorry if you fast forwarded it, and then I told you to come back. Sorry, that's just the way everything works out here. It's the whole timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly
stuff.
Rub. Okay, so somebody remember that we're I don't know how long we are into the half an hour into the show, whatever. This is going to be the official word from us here at Holy Crap the Vlogcast on the political scene for 2016's election in the United States. This is the one and only time we're going to lay it out there, and like I said, I've been thinking about it for a while, and I'm sure that anybody that wants to go ahead and have at me, welcome to. We are not going to endorse any candidates whatsoever. However, we do want to make it completely clear that we do not believe that it is possible to throw away your vote, no matter if you vote or if you choose not to vote. Not voting is not a vote against anything. It is simply an abdication of your responsibility, which, as a citizen, you should feel that you have that responsibility.
Mhm.
It is mandatory and compulsory in Australia. It should be as well here. However, if you want to go ahead and yell and scream that your candidate did not make it into the final, and as you can hear, I am not describing either major political party, and there's a good goddamn reason for it. If you want to consider whether you should vote for a third party, which is what we're going to be discussing tonight, please consider, as difficult as it might be, the reality of the story. There are two major groups that are going to be vying for the very top. And there can only be one king of the hill. But that's a lot of hill. So if you want to go ahead and change whoever is going to be the king of the hill, you need to have a base underneath them. If you want that third-party candidate to become king of the hill, they need somebody to help push them up there. And if you don't have that base, you're not going to have enough push. So don't worry whether or not you've got a third-party candidate that you can vote for. Consider setting the groundwork underneath whoever it is. Get yourself going at the local level, at the county, at the town. Move your way up. Help people to support what you think should be. And if you think that it should be President Vermin, and yes, you might have to look him up.
Vermin is awesome. I would vote for Vermin.
Lay the groundwork for who you think should be for the future. This isn't something that you can just change on a dime. You can't turn how things are working on a dime. If you want to change things, you have to make them turn gradually. As painful as that might be, as annoying. But we're not going to tell you who to vote for or how. We're going to tell you if you don't like what you've got, you do have the ability of changing it. You just have to change it slower than what you really want to. Otherwise, you can go ahead and change what's happening at the top. But just like with anything else, it'll topple over if it doesn't have anything to support it. Choose wisely. That's as far as what we're going to cover as far as to an official stance. I refuse to get us mucked into laying down with anybody. But truth be told, there's a lot of bad that's happening. And I don't, like I said, I don't want us to get mired into saying, well, why are you supporting X instead of Y? Or if you're against Y, why are you for X? Or all this other stuff that's going on, because really that's not our place. Our place is to go ahead and just discuss why things are, not to tell people what to do or not to do. And we each individually have who we think should be doing. For instance, I personally would like to forcibly abduct Mr. Trudeau and bring him here. But we've got this goddamn thing that says he's not an American citizen, so I'm boned. But,
yeah. Well, now if you can prove that he was Mick Jagger's love child, you may have an in there.
That might be easier to do than some people
we
think.
could draft him though against his will.
But then he needs to become a citizen.
And there's the fact that he looks exactly like his father. So I really,
Maybe he's reincarnated Dweezil Zappa.
I don't know. I think I get the feeling that by the time Mo Justin's ready to step down, he's going to look exactly like his father.
Yes.
Like 12 head up here and all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. What did Pierre look like in the 60s? Did he have more hair? I don't know.
It doesn't matter. So long as he doesn't have the speech impediment, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Like Monsieur Chrétien?
Well, okay, in Chrétien's defense, like, what was it he got?
He has Bell's palsy.
Yeah, so on top of a really bad accent, his mouth doesn't work that well. So I mean, he's doubly boned, you know.
Yeah, like his one side of his face doesn't actually work, so that's why it looks like he's always talking out of the wrong side of his mouth. Because it's
and he's got a really weak handshake. I'll just say that.
Okay.
I have shook his hand, and I was in high school, and I probably could have hurt him.
Well, you probably like towered over the guy too.
Not really, as I recall. I think he's actually fairly tall.
Okay. I don't know. I didn't pay too much attention to Chrétien. You know, once I was happy that Stockwell Day was out of the picture. I didn't care so much. That guy, I was married to my ex at the time, the American. I was very serious that if Stockwell Day won, we were leaving. Like,
yeah, that was one scary individual.
Ooh, yeah. Like,
yeah, Bridget.
For us. I mean, you guys probably would have been okay with him.
Yeah, Bridget. I was going to say the way they're talking about him, it sounds like they're talking about Bob Dole, don't they? Talking out of the wrong side of his mouth, got a really weak handshake.
Yeah, but Chrétien never talked about himself in the third person.
Yeah. I did want to say something to people who are thinking about voting for a third-party candidate. I can see that it's a noble goal to try to get more parties involved. I would like to see more choices myself. But I guess the title of the show was, win. Third party win. Now, win is now. Right now, we already have a Supreme Court vacancy open that we need to fill. There's going to be at least 2 more. And if you want to have that fight, but I would say wait until the Supreme Court nominations have been secured and then have that fight. And start that fight at the local level and at the state level. And try to get that 15% so you can get funding to get them involved, on the ballots and in the debates. Because right now, with independents, getting 3 or 5% of the vote, they're going nowhere. And it's a noble goal to get them on the ballot, but be smart about it.
Yeah, exactly my point. I mean, it takes a lot of legwork for something like that to have happen if it's not already. And
right now, when a few weeks before the election is not the time. There's not been enough time to get this ready. So just think about it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Joseph, over in France, like you said, roughly 5 major, and I'm using internet hype here for a second, 5 major organizations for political parties and such. I'm assuming that they've all basically been around forever. I mean, it's not like you guys had a 2-party system like the U.S. and suddenly there was a couple of breakouts. Where is that?
No.
In the time that you've remembered.
Well, it's been a while. Already, yeah, it's constantly evolving because there's a center right-wing party that's always changing its name and changing forms with basically it's the crony party. And then you have the extreme right party, which has been pretty well the same since its conception in the 1950s. Going back to the Algeria colony time. There was even a communist party here, which was pretty popular until the 1950s. And they're kind of a joke. I think that they've got 1 or 2 small villages in the middle of France, but that's about it. But it's going up and down. But unfortunately here, the extreme right is making a comeback because of all the events here.
Yeah. Meaning, in this case, the various attacks and...
Yeah, and the fact that there's so many parties actually gives them a chance of coming through. But the elections here are a bit different because they're two-stage elections, because they have a first election for all of the parties, and those who make it past a certain percentage of the vote go to the second round, and then they vote for them. And around, what was it, 12 years ago, the extreme right, they made it through the first round, and it was the extreme right against Jacques Chirac. And Jacques Chirac won with 90% of the vote because, I mean, you know, that tends to... it's almost the same scenario as Trump versus Clinton, the second round of that election.
I remember Jacques Chirac. They talked about him over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's memorable.
I think the Capitol Steps comedy troupe actually had a song about him too.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, he was popular. I mean, even in
Yakety yak, Jacques Chirac.
yeah.
Yeah, if you ever find any sound bites with that group, go get it. It's topical. Sometimes it's a little irrelevant these days, but it was a pretty good group of people.
That shows how long I've been here, because Jacques Chirac was the mayor of the city when I came, and 8 years ago he's president. So, but Nicolas Sarkozy, I don't know if you've heard about him. A lot of people compare him to Napoleon, but
little man.
I was in my first years here in France. I was going to vide-grenier, it's like kind of like a flea market garage sale kind of thing, and he was the mayor of a small commune town to the west of Paris, Neuilly, a pretty rich one. But anyways, he was going around shaking hands. You know, he's just the official politician, shake hands spin.
All 5'2" of him.
Yeah, and I got to shake his hand, and then he became president. So if you want to become president of France, shake Joseph's hand.
Yeah.
Well, then Joseph, you know, can we get you over here? Maybe shake a couple of hands down in the States there. Maybe get some other people up there. Or does it only work in France?
I haven't come up with a decent
Barack
curse
Obama's
yet.
hand before
Maybe.
he got elected in 2008.
Sorry, Bridge?
I said I got to shake Barack Obama's hand before he was elected in 2008.
Oh, we get the two of you together one of these days. That's just going to be a black hole of good luck right there.
I managed to film Justin Trudeau from, like, the sidewalk to the middle of the street.
Oh, wait. I shook Chrétien's hand and he became prime minister.
It's kind of like Lucky Charms.
Well, actually, I'm thinking. Well, no, I'm thinking now we need to start like a GoFundMe or a Patreon or something, so we can all get plane tickets, so we can all get around to these troubled nations, shake the right hand, so that the right people get into office. And
There we go.
we are the key to the next level of civilization. It's in our hands.
Now it's out.
So if somebody wants to send, you know, somebody other than Trump to Paris or Calgary, go for it.
You've just destroyed nice Canadian plans for world domination.
Well, yeah, but we would have to apologize forever for that.
And actually, you know, given a lot of the rumbles I'm hearing up here, especially, you know, with like with the provincial government we have right now, there's a lot of people up here that are actually looking at Trump like going, yeah, he could do the job.
He cannot.
No, I believe me, I'm one of the few people. I'm one of the few people in this province that tends to disagree with that sentiment, largely because my career is not tied to the main industry of this province. Whatever happens to that, like prices go up and down, it doesn't affect me. I'm in the tech sector. The tech sector works a little bit differently. We don't rely on the price of oil other than, okay, yeah, there's the side benefits. I don't have to pay $2 a liter to put in my car. But as far as getting laid off because there's no work or because it's too expensive to produce, that doesn't happen for me.
Too expensive. That's, you can translate that into cuts into our exorbitant profits.
I guess what I should have said instead of too expensive, it's not economically feasible or viable. In other words,
we're not making enough money.
Yeah, the amount of money you'd have to put into harvest the resource is more than what you would get for said resource on the open market.
Which is
yeah, but whoa. Yeah, but you're leaving out the details, like the cost of everything all along the production chain, which makes it that way.
Yes, but this is
everybody taking their 10% profit along the way.
Yes,
that adds up.
Yes, but this is not the economics show.
No,
not yet.
But in my previous job, the healthcare policy had a direct impact on my work and my livelihood.
Yeah.
Which is probably why I'm unemployed now, or was unemployed.
Well, now the election in the U.S. actually that could have an impact on my job.
Could mine too.
Just because, well, no, and I've even been, like, some of my friends I've been talking to who do tend to travel to the U.S. mostly for reasons other than business. They've said if that particular candidate gets elected, they're seriously considering not, like, putting any U.S. travel on hiatus until they know it's safe for them.
Well, my job could be affected because of all these people that now have insurance under the ACA lose their insurance. They can no longer afford their care and their coverage, and we lose business.
We have to have a serious discussion about what profit is and what it does to the economy.
But if you take away people's health insurance and they can no longer get pharmaceuticals, then hey, that affects my job.
Yeah.
And when I worked in insurance before, part of my job was implementing all these changes and figuring out what the law meant and what it would look like as far as payment and all that stuff. So it had a direct influence on me. And when they were looking at overturning the ACA, we were fixed in on watching the hearings and things, because that would have been several years of work we would have had to go and undo, depending on what the Supreme Court decided. It was, we were on pins and needles there for a while because we didn't know.
The other thing I've noticed too about government, especially up here, like right now, our current government up here they're enacting all kinds of taxes, carbon tax, other things, ways to basically penalize industries for, basically for polluting. But unfortunately, resource extraction, I don't care what level it is, I don't care what kind it is, it's a dirty business. I've worked in the mining industry. I know people who work in the oil industry. The removal of a resource from deep underground is going to involve doing a bit of damage. Whether or not it's visible, that depends on technology and the nature of the resource you're trying to get out. But the thing is, when you invoke all of these extra taxes and extra levies and extra everything, okay, one government does that, and then suddenly overnight another government comes in and says, okay, we're going to reform everything. They take one look at the books, realize just exactly how much money is coming in. They're not going to do anything.
Yeah, where's that money?
Wonder.
Going.
Sorry?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I think it has a lot to do with the government's always levying taxes for this kind of thing. But is the money generated from these taxes actually going to clean up the environment or not? Because if it was, it would be a little more locked in.
No, and the thing is, it's not. It's the money's not committed to one particular thing. It goes into basically a slush fund from which the government can draw to do whatever they want.
That's the problem.
Yeah, but
and it's not transparent either.
Yeah, but to my point, all the saber rattling that's going on about repealing ACA and all of that, I honestly wonder. I mean, is it serious, or could it just be all bluster and blather to get them into the office until they realize, when they go in and realize that we can't just turn this off. Like, campaigns and stuff always talk about what they want to do, but then when they get in and they actually see what's going to be involved in enacting those plans, they just kind of look and go, you know what? We have to either seriously rethink this, or we have to smokescreen everybody for the next 8 years and hope that they forget about it. Hey, let's go to war.
Actually,
that's the Republican. And sorry, I don't mean to soapbox here. I don't mean to pigeonhole a particular party, but let's face it. Reagan, the last Republican president during the Cold War, he had the Cold War.
Yeah.
That was, it's politics of distraction. Basically, it's like, yeah, things are really bad, but communist menace.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hold on a second before you go too far past that. There is an analogy, a modern analogy that we can kind of use with that. Well, not an analogy; it's a direct example. The Brexit vote. They had the buses going out saying that they were going to take the $250 some odd million a month or whatever the hell it was that was otherwise going to the EU and put it into the healthcare. And the guy afterwards came on the
bullshit
public circuits, and it was just like, no, that wasn't something. No, actually, we got pictures. Well, it was somebody put that out there incorrectly. That was your platform.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
Well, and it's like back when Chrétien first got elected, he was like, I'm going to get rid of the GST. And yeah, that, it took, 3 terms and 15 years later before they even examined it properly?
Well,
yeah, because too many people are benefiting from it.
And I go back to this one. I use this one a lot because it was really the first time I saw what happens when you do something knee-jerk. This was in 1990, 89-90. Roy Romano was elected Premier of Saskatchewan, and he ran under a particular party. Now, his campaign promise was to eliminate the GST, which was a blanket goods and services tax, GST, that was implemented by the federal government on everything. So, sorry, it wasn't that. What he was going to do was, on particular items in the province, he was going to repeal the provincial sales tax, or the PST, which at the time was 7%.
Right.
So the way it is in those provinces, you would pay the I think at the time it was a 5% GST, then you would pay the 7% provincial tax on top of it.
Yeah.
So you're getting a double hit. So Romano's platform was that since he couldn't do anything about the GST, because that's a federal thing, he would repeal the provincial tax on certain collections, like certain items of certain quantities. And the second he was elected, the minute he got into office, that's what he did. Mm-hmm. Within 3 months, he had to increase the provincial tax to 8% on everything else to compensate for the hit the province took as a result.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm getting at, is that when the new party comes into power, even though they've gone on this whole campaign for change and we're gonna I hate to say it, make America great again, when they get in and look at the books and realize that this is going to take a little bit longer than we thought.
Well, that was there was a provincial government here, and I think it was after Bob Rae had been in, but I could be wrong. But I just remember, the new government came in and they had made all kinds of promises about programs they were going to do.
Nope.
And then when they got into office, the first thing they did was like, "Oh crap, that's the deficit's way worse than we thought it was. We can't do anything. We'll be lucky if we pay any of this off while we're in power." And they basically backpedaled on everything they promised and blamed it all on the previous government, that the deficit was much higher than they had been led to believe, and so they could just, "Don't blame us, we can't do anything because it's too much money," which I'm not sure I ever believed. But
yeah, trying to steer a large entity, and let's just use a country for a perfect example, is like trying to steer a motorcycle. You can't make a sharp turn. You just simply physically cannot. And anybody who thinks that they can for a country, a large company, and think that they can just come in and just on a dime just turn things around and change the direction of travel in a huge amount, nah, man, it just don't work that way.
No.
I mean, physics don't work that way.
What you have to do is, well, like you said, turning it slowly. You've got to give this unstoppable force, you got to give it a nudge in the direction you eventually want it to go. And then the hope is that as the future progresses, like especially down the States, you've only got 8 years. You've got 8 years to turn this behemoth in the direction you want it to go. The most you can do is give it a nudge and hope that the inertia, or in this case, public opinion, is enough to carry it past your term limit so that the trend will keep going that way. But the trouble is, when you've got this flip-flopping between Republicans and Democrats on alternating groups of years, like you had Bush, then you had Clinton, and you had Bush again, now you got Obama. If the next one is the Republican candidate, then it's going to get nudged in the other direction again, and you're coming up with a zigzag that's not helping.
It's diametrically opposed on a lot of different pieces and how they want to implement stuff, and who wants to push harder for whatever. And yeah, you're exactly right. So here's an interesting question. At what point does any society, doesn't matter which country, because this affects everybody, when you've got multiple groups, which is as it should be for any kind of democratically elected republic. Yeah, that's
republic, representative public. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
At what point should the populace say, let's get a framework down for what should happen, what needs to be handled for a long term, meaning like 20, 25, 50 years, and aim towards those, and everybody work towards that goal. Doesn't have to be everything, but things, for instance, like, well, a semi-non-controversial, NASA's funding. Why can't NASA get that full penny instead of a half penny, as Neil deGrasse Tyson has been saying? What's wrong with aiming towards that? We did it before with the Apollo program. Why can't we aim just a little bit more than half a penny per tax dollar?
Because right now the Middle East isn't going into space.
Yeah.
No, think about it.
Wow, I thought I was a cynical one.
I learned from the best.
You're welcome.
JFK stood up there and said that we would put a man on the moon within this decade to beat the Russians, to beat the Red Menace in the space race. That's what basically lit the fire under America's butt to get NASA up and running for the Apollo missions.
Yep.
Now, there is no, at least on the NASA side, there is no competition for that.
There's no impetus
anymore. Yeah, exactly. There's no real incentive.
Because the only other people doing it are SpaceX, and that's a private entity, and nobody cares about that.
Well, and how can you stop them? I mean, it's
Well, yeah, and like I mean, politically, no one cares because they're an outside private entity. They're not really in competition. They're not something to be beaten. They're not a them for the us.
well,
Right.
and besides which, they're actually working with. I think they're working with NASA, like at least
Right.
the partnership with the whole Dragon module to keep the ISS up and running.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean. But yeah, as far as like the big projects go and everything, there is no incentive. There is no. If we don't do this, something's going to happen. At least that's the perception. Now there could be a lot of other things that could be done, not necessarily NASA, but other programs, where yeah, if something's not done, say within the next 10 to 15 years, something's going to break. Like Flint. For instance.
I hate to slam my fellow countrymen, but I'm going to. People are so obsessed now with reality TV and being entertained that they can't think 10 minutes in the future. They don't care.
Yeah, before you go past that, by the way, let me drop something at you, because you, well, we being the ones in this particular situation, is it just me, or has Dallin hit something that seems to be very cultural, ingrained heavy duty for us as the country that we are societally, that we react far more than plan?
I think it's cultural here that we're more of a reality TV based culture, which is why Trump is where he's at. But there's also this evangelical mindset of if things go to hell in a handbasket, that's okay, because Jesus is coming back in any second. He will save us.
Yeah.
So
it's
there's
like
no
I've
plan
said,
for the future because there's not going to be a future because Jesus.
It's like I've said so many times before. Like, you look at a Missouri license plate and they call it the Show Me State. After listening to Aaron Raw when he was on the show and talking to a few people, I swear you could actually get away with on the bottom of a Texas plate any day now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know exactly. Yeah, you see, you guys all know exactly what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. The rulings, where, well, you don't have to send your kid to school because, there's a really good chance they'll probably be raptured soon. So,
It doesn't matter.
Who needs school? Well, and very similar, my friend Philip from Toronto, who was a former Jehovah's Witness, they had a end of the world thing in 1975, and he said a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses never went to school because they figure, oh, well, the world's going to end, and they had a specific date, like in 1975. They're like, oh, I only got 6 months. Why would I want to go to school? I got to prep for Jesus.
Yeah, and to go along with that, there was also a end of the world thing Friday, apparently, which we kind of apparently missed. I'm like,
again?
Yeah.
By the way, I never get these.
Back up a second. Joseph, did you hear about that particular that ruling? It was out of Texas, wasn't it? Guys,
there's a surprise.
Yes,
right.
It was Texas again.
Okay, yeah, it was very specifically a family that took the school requirements to court to basically say, look, we are homeschooling our kids. They don't need to be following your curriculum standards because they're going to be raptured in their lifetime. They don't need to follow this stuff anyway, and religious freedom and persecution, and they actually won, so they don't have to teach their kids I'll say it, fuck all.
Yeah.
You didn't hear about this one, did you?
No. Well, I'm in my own little world since a few weeks now.
Yeah, you're in Renault world, and that's cool.
Renault.
Yeah, but I mean, something like this in France would be, I have to imagine, simply unconscionable, unfathomable.
Well, we have specialized schools. I mean, there's a huge difference between public schooling and private schooling, and private schooling they can do, but whatever they want because they have Catholic private schools. I mean,
Yeah.
but the boundaries there were really, really, really well defined, going as far back as the after the Revolution, the 18th century.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the church was allowed to keep their land, but they were completely outside of the public sphere as far as education is concerned.
But I don't think, if the Catholic schools started saying, well, we're just going to sit and pray all day, we're not going to actually, take any math or science, I think there would be a problem.
The government has no say on what goes on inside these
Really?
schools. Yeah.
Dang.
Wow.
That's a
Well-
surprise to me.
But
Well,
that,
it's like in North America, like in the United States, I'm sure they have private schools. They have I'm sure
private
they even have ashrams. Yeah, private, always private.
Yeah, private is one thing, but we're talking about people who are intentionally keeping their kids out of schools, private or public, to quote-unquote homeschool them, but they're not doing any schooling.
Yeah, the
mean,
quote, the homeschooling is, we prayed and had a Bible study this morning. Like, that's it.
Yeah, put that on your CV and try and get a job.
Well, they don't think you're going to need a job. That's the thing.
We can't really, unless we're going to impose a dictatorship. There's not much we can do inside certain circles.
Well, but how fair is that to those poor kids when they grow up and they have no education because mommy and daddy thought that Jesus was coming?
That's what I wanted to say, because I was, when you said that earlier, I was thinking, oh, well, they can do what they want, but I just hope they don't unleash those kids onto the rest of us.
Well, and I think that's why I know here that wouldn't be allowed. Like, I'm not sure what our laws are in regards to homeschooling, but I know, like, for instance, our Catholic schools, now they're federally funded or provincially funded, so they have, I know they shouldn't be, and there's a movement here to try and get rid of that currently, but because of that, they have standards that they have to maintain. So they could not just say, oh, we're just going to, venerate Mother Mary all day because we know Jesus is coming back soon. Yeah. That couldn't happen. Like, a child must be able to, I think they have to pass standardized testing or so. Like, there are things in place to ensure that children who are going through some sort of alternative system are not completely neglected as far as education goes. And places like Texas that are saying, well, if you really believe you're going to get raptured, I guess it's okay. No, it shouldn't be okay. The parent can decide to do it themselves. To me, it's no different than saying I don't want to take my kid to a doctor because I'm going to pray instead. You're going to deprive your child of the chance to succeed in life because you think Jesus is coming back. Like, to me, that shouldn't be allowed.
There's a boundary that has to be drawn. It has yet to be drawn. About the laws. What is damaging to another human? I mean,
yes.
And especially when that human is too young to think for themselves or decide for themselves, that's one thing. So that's child abuse laws. And some homeschooling should be considered child abuse. As all indoctrination.
But as soon as you throw the religious exception on it, it can't be child abuse.
Yeah, but that's what we're doing is just opening boxes, because we're talking about boxes inside boxes inside boxes. Okay, you open the religious question. Well, why does religion have exception? You have to ask yourself that. Why can they do special pleading that they can abuse children but other people can't? Why?
And there are states right now that are literally considering laws that would allow physical abuse of children because religion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just unconscionable to me.
Or
like
spousal abuse because religion.
Yeah.
You know what? Hold on a second. let's call this exactly what it is. And admittedly, at the moment, we're kind of off of the original topic, but actually it kind of plays into this all, believe it or not, when we bring it back together again. Let's call this exactly what it is. Neglect.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not abuse in my eyes, because that would be actively doing something against someone. This is neglect in my eyes. This is failure to do something. It's semantics. I know I'm playing semantics at the moment.
Yeah.
But there's a go ahead, Bridge.
But I mean, if you look at it, if you take this to its logical conclusion, it's one step removed from honor killings.
Yeah.
It's irrational. I mean, they're stopping short. They're not thinking it through. I mean, they're stopping all skepticism because tradition, or because what? Because
the Sky Daddy in some book.
Because popular, but basically for the politicians is because of its appeal to popularity, which actually counts for politicians.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
But it's still a logical fallacy.
It is.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, here's how this all plays into where I was saying that this actually does tie together. Bridget, what we were talking about a little while ago, that I know a couple of people who are listening probably had their eyebrows go up really hard, that in some cases we have situations where it is a single-party system.
Mm-hmm.
The term I'm going to throw at you is gerrymandering.
Oh, yes.
Mm.
Real quick explanation for what that is.
Gerrymandering is where districts are drawn in such a way that a single political party will win that district. You look at the maps, instead of being representative of where people live and having boundaries drawn, according to populations and geographical landmarks, it's drawn according to political affiliation. So you have these outrageous looking maps that will ensure that Republicans will win because there's only like 2 or 3 Democrats that are in a particular district because of the way it's drawn.
And to be fair, this has happened on the political scene for a long time, and to the best of my recollection, going back to the late 1800s, I believe it was, when it was coined, and all political parties have used it to some degree or other. Remember, it's one of those things that, like, well, evolution, yay, the survival of the fittest, shall we say, but it's much more a matter of the ones who are in power are able to tip the scales and redraw the maps. A little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here, a little bit there. After a while, it all starts to pile up into, oh, look at this. This party is going to win this group all the time at this rate now without doing anything more, and that group will win all the time over there. Yeah, but it's a smaller group. They don't have as much influence, so it doesn't really much matter.
It's like instead of this, map looking like, I don't know, a square rectangle or some geometrical shape that would, have all the people in it, you might have a shape of something like a seahorse. That way, you're ensured that a certain district will vote a certain way because those people are represented or clustered together in that group. And the maps can be redrawn with every census. So the next time that the maps can be redrawn will be in 2020.
Now, the reason why I'm specifically making reference to this is that, like I said, it's been used all over the place. I can't imagine that it's only the U.S. where this happens. But specifically in this situation of Texas, even though I haven't gone looking into it, I could very easily see a situation where gerrymandering of districts so that you get political affiliations to have dominant forces in all 3 branches of the government, that eventually you can get people who are sitting in judges' robes who all have the same affiliation, who all have the same ideology and theology on top of it all, because, well, how hard is it to get that apart? Tough. And then suddenly situations like this come up where the kids are homeschooled and well, they're going to get whatever the hell the parents want because religious exception, whether it's legal elsewhere or not. And that's a very likely rationale for how this can play out, isn't it?
Well, to give I guess, a verbal explanation of how this can look, you can have a populace who is 70% Democratic, but if gerrymandering is taken, to the extreme like we've seen, even if a population is 70% Democratic, it can still go GOP depending on the way that it's drawn. It can be that extreme.
Now that's why I don't think something like gerrymandering is quite as big an issue in Canada and France, where you've got multiple organizations, where you've got 5 sometimes groups that are vying for population, especially if there's oversight.
Well, I believe here it's very strictly, like, it's Elections Canada, which is kind of it's a nonpartisan entity that determines where the electoral boundaries are in a certain area. So there is, like, no party has any say over that whatsoever. It's Elections Canada, and they base it on, populations and the census data and things like that. So it's not actually possible here.
And Joseph, do you have any knowledge whatsoever about how that works out for France?
No, the system is a bit different here.
Okay. Do you have any ideas to how that actually works?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the problem when he's not allowed to vote, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, still, even so.
What's the process we're talking about exactly? I hear something between a few things.
Well, it's how are these zones of election areas determined? Like here,
it's completely different here.
Okay, that's what we're looking at, because we have ridings, right? So, yeah.
In 1790, they divided France up into something called communes, which are basically territories, like little. They divided it up. They divided the land up along the villages at the time.
Okay.
And so they have big. And this system has hardly changed since 1790. So every commune has a mayor, and so on, from going up the electoral pyramid. So the commune is represented by the département, there's a few départements in a region, and then in the region there's about 12. They just changed the number. So
commune almost sounds like a township here.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's about the same principle.
Gotcha.
So it hasn't changed, but it makes the political sphere a bit different, because these communes have been compared to fiefs.
Yes, I was thinking that it sounded very feudal.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And that's why the Communist Party is still in existence, because they've got like 3 communes in all of France. So
we actually have 2 communist parties here.
Yep. We also had let's see, I've heard of the marijuana party, the beer party.
I just did before the election. I did a series for the show, and I researched it. We had, at that time, this would have been September-ish. We had 18 registered federal parties at that time. So we didn't. The beer party was not registered federally, so that might be a provincial thing.
Yeah,
we had the
Manitoba.
we had the marijuana party. We had there was one that was like a animal rights party. There was one party that only cared about the St. Lawrence Valley in Quebec. Like they didn't give a shit about any other part of the country. It was just like that. I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head. And of course, there was the Christian Heritage Party, of course. Like all kinds of them.
But really, that St. Lawrence Valley one, all they cared about was their little bit of Quebec.
Yes.
Well, what party inside of Quebec actually gives a shit about anything outside of Quebec on principle?
Yeah, very true. Well, the Liberals kind of might, so. Yeah. Oh, we have Libertarians. My favorite, the Pirate Party, which I wish there was a candidate around here because I would so vote for them. But yeah, there was the Pirate Party. There's just like a whole whack of them. I really wish somebody would register the Rhinos again because I would also vote for them. But it's just ridiculous the amount of parties, and some of them, like I said, that weird Quebec one, they're like, only the St. Lawrence Valley, and that was all they cared about. Like the rest of Canada, and their website was only in French. Like I actually had to have my browser translate it because they're like, screw the Anglophones, we don't care.
Yeah, again, I say it again, it's Quebec.
Yeah, I know, but it's a federal party. At least
your son. Yeah,
but at least the Bloc, even the Bloc have an English website. Like, come on.
Yeah, but oh God, what was his name? After Bouchard passed away.
Parizeau.
No. Parizeau was Parti Québécois.
Right.
Gilles Doucet.
Gilles Doucet, yeah.
Yeah. I listened to this guy. Like, there was a time when the Bloc Québécois was the official opposition. Now, for our neighbors south of the border, what that means is that you have the party in power. Basically, the runner-up becomes the party that is the now theoretically they're the watchdog that will call out if a proposed policy or proposed law goes against the Canadian public interest. It's these guys' job to call them on it.
Yes.
Now, listening to Jack Layton, the late Jack Layton from NDP, that's another story. That being said, there was a time when this one party, the Bloc Québécois, was the official opposition. Now, the Bloc, their philosophy was anything
want to leave
for Quebec,
Canada.
Anything for Quebec, screw the rest of the country.
Yeah, like their main, thrust election point is let's leave Canada.
Yeah. So they're talking. So the federal government is talking about helping Saskatchewan farmers. Well, Doucet doesn't give a damn because it has nothing to do with Quebec. Like, this is like the whiny baby, where's my soother party kind of thing.
Yeah. Hey, monsieur, my letters are not big enough on my sign, so you got to make the letters bigger in the français.
Yeah, my bar's called The Thirsty Boot, so the language police come and we're going to change the name to De Thirsty Boot.
There's a great Air Force skit about that.
And people may not know, but in Quebec they actually have laws to try and preserve French culture, which I'm like, okay, it's been like 200 years, people. I think it's not going anywhere, but a business must have, if they're going to have a bilingual sign, the French has to be like a certain number of centimeters bigger than the English part, or they get fined. And they have like the language police that go around and like measure the damn signs. It's ridiculous.
Yep. All right. Now, backtracking just a little bit, because it's still, to me, in my mind, this whole thing still kind of works together with the whole gerrymandering thing. Yes, I'm backtracking because Bridget found a couple of graphics that I did see you kind of put them up there, and I figured I'd go ahead and get you an opportunity to demonstrate exactly what that looks like, because this whole exceptionalism thing is all kind of part and parcel to me. So, Hun, be my guest, and if you're listening on the audio system, sorry, I'll make sure that whatever graphics I can are going to be dropped into show notes. So, go ahead and show some folks what a voting district can look like over here.
Okay. Let me see if I can do this.
Yeah, sorry, I should have given you a little bit of warning.
There we go.
We pray to thee in the name of
No,
Google.
that's
Please
Facebook.
share the
You don't
screen,
wanna see
ladies
that.
and gentlemen.
Wrong screen.
Apparently,
By the
Google
way-
did not hear my prayer.
While she's doing that, I just had a look over on the Elections Canada site. There are some new parties registered since I looked last, and the Rhinos are on the list. We now have the Seniors Party of Canada, the Bridge Party. I don't know what the heck that is.
I like
I'm gonna
that
say
before
Bridge
they
Club.
die.
Yeah, I don't know. We've got, let's see, it was the Animal Alliance Environment Voters Party. That's the animal rights people.
What the hell kind of name is that?
Animal
Yeah.
Alliance Environment Voters Party.
The AAEV.
Yeah. Like,
So,
okay.
what are they looking to do? Weaponize drop bears? What the frick?
Well,
Oh,
just
no, it was-
imagine what that would do with our partnership with Australia.
Oh, I know, eh? No, what I remember when I looked at their website back when I was doing that, they were doing things like protecting, like better regulations for transporting animals in, like, you know, pigs going to the slaughter and that sort of thing, and you know, no culling and protecting wildlife and. So it says, we are Canada's only true multi-issue party because we are inclusive of all species. We cannot talk about any societal structure without including all affected by public policy, meaning animals.
Okay.
So,
So
yeah.
do they have a public stand posted about smallpox? Because
No.
that's a very endangered species.
It is. It's
Yeah.
very endangered.
And Bridget found one. That is
Isn't that
Gainesville, Florida, isn't it?
Isn't it cute?
That is adorable. So for those of you that are listening on the audio only, what we're looking at is a zoom in on the area around Gainesville, Florida, in the south of the U.S. Now, normally what I would think of, what I would expect would be lines for voting that would have been drawn along the same as what the counties would be, which would kind of be, you know, whatever your major city is, plus the surrounding region of it. Usually it's kind of blocky shaped. In this particular case, I believe the expression is not so much. The district, if you can even call it that, looks like what I would expect an amoeba to look like as it's trying to find food in a bloodstream. It has tendrils all over the place that make no rhyme or reason. It's not anything symmetrical. It's just all over the hell. And if I remember right, that's not the only one that you had found. There was another one that was mostly red. Were you able to find that one back again?
Oh, there are several. I posted the links there, so if you want to put them in the show notes, people can look at all kinds of little graphics and have a good time.
Absolutely. Like I said, I look at this stuff and I just, it completely baffles me, because a voting district to me should be, and maybe this is just my naivete, my not knowing what the hell I'm talking about. Fuck me. Shouldn't it just be? Thank you. Nice. You passed college. Thanks. Appreciate that. Show me up over here. Shouldn't it be done by the counties? I mean, the county lines are already lined up. they're set up. They're not moving because they're a political point. They're they're theoretically a physical point on a map, and they're already there. Wouldn't it seem to be a smarter, simpler thing to run something like that? I mean, am I just nuts?
Smarter and simpler,
No.
but not favorable.
Yeah, because
not manipulative.
Not politically expedient.
That's not the word he was looking for. I know what word you were
No,
looking for,
but-
but I know it was it's contagious, isn't it?
Yeah, you know the one I'm looking for. I just... God, I
Let it-
think I've invented a new word.
Not
go ahead.
politically advantageous to the ruling political party.
Yeah. Or to one that wants to get into power.
That too.
Or maintain it.
Yeah.
The recurring theme through all this is advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
All we're talking about today, about profit, about
It's like rigging the
Unfair
system.
advantage.
Rigging the system to benefit you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In a system that theoretically you shouldn't be able to manipulate, but they do so exploiting loopholes and, bending things that it's still legal, just not necessarily ethical.
Yeah, here's the
Yeah.
thing that kills me, because this just popped into my head. Here in the U.S., we say that capitalism is the way to go. It is the best possible. And capitalism works best when there's competition. Oh, wait.
Let's kill
No.
the competition.
No, competition, it does work best when it's competition. The trouble is, the people who are saying that, when they're confronted with the right kind of competition, suddenly realize that they either have to up their game or play dirty.
As far as I'm concerned, they can up theirs all they want at this point.
Well, there is that. Sorry, I forgot to wear my badge that says, "Hi, my name is the Choir."
What,
But
when we get to it for a second, I have to read you the principle of the bridge party.
No, go right
Because-
ahead. You know?
Oh,
hit me.
okay.
I gotta hear this.
Because these guys are brand new, so they only have a principle under their platform. A principle.
Okay,
We
hold on a
Yes.
second, because if this is a good enough, we may go ahead and say, yeah, this is somebody worth checking out. I mean, if there was the Will Wheaton party and their entire platform was "Don't be a dick,"
Don't be a dick.
I'd vote for them.
This is a little bit more out there.
Okay.
We hold that the home of the human spirit is in conversation. As we know it, this spirit is realized only in the immediacy of its occurrence in conversation, and only in the conversation conducted in good faith. Other forms of conversation may accomplish other things. People talk in order to exchange information, to entertain, to argue their point, to reduce a temporarily inflated reputation, or call attention to a fraud. All such forms of conversation are sometimes desirable, but conversation, which can occur between our ears or in a public space, really only becomes necessary when it attains the power to free us from our fate, reshape character, reorient moral life, revive the very desire and the passion for life. And when the various participants in a conversation leave their interest in self-expression to one side and instead orient to another, as though all their efforts were but attempts to coax the spirit into existence, under those auspices, the spirit sometimes returns to the favor and lights up the world around. What the hell did I just read?
I could
can-
just sum up that in just saying, okay, communication is either making things good for your own survival or somebody else's. And
I
that's
suddenly have this image in my head of Heretic Woman reciting that, or quoting that again, and then having the what is the gif of John Travolta from Pulp Fiction, kind of doing
Yeah.
doing like the double and triple takes, like
And why are they called the bridge party? Is it they have a bridge to sell or something?
I think what they were trying to do is that, like, when they first talked about the whole thing about almost like spirits, like, oh, so it's going to be like a bridge between this world and the next.
Well, the graphic they have on the beginning of the website, it's a bunch of it's like an overhead view of a bunch of people sitting around a table, and it's like they're writing on a big piece of newsprint.
Probably a stock image.
And it says, "I am a bridge, a network of neighborhood associations. Collaboration trumps representation. The bridge where top down meets bottom up.
Okay.
Democracy
Don't laugh
is
at it completely, because there are grains of truth in what they say, but they just slather it in like woo-sounding bullshit, and that fucks it up completely.
It's like Chopra vomited on all over their website, you know.
People don't between themselves. Sometimes it is good, sometimes it is bad.
Yeah. No, it sounded like for a second there, like based on the little blurb you just said there, they're more about community, interaction within the community, and interaction between other communities.
Oh, but listen, it says the party system kills the democratic spirit. Democracy is the means, conversation is the goal. Imagine a post-productive economy, whatever the hell that means.
We humans have a choice of helping each other make life easier, or we can choose to try to just simply make life easy for ourselves. And that's basically where the lines are drawn. And these guys are for the community, helping each other kind of thing. Yeah, but, you know, without all the spiritualism, that would be kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
Like you said, Chopra kind of vomited the quantum all over it.
Yes.
You know what?
But you can only achieve this through my guidance.
He inflicted his quantum.
You know, there's listening to you read through all that, there was a fairly famous, let's call it a poem. I don't exactly know what to describe it as, but all I need to do is to read off the very first line of it, and you'll see that, like I said, you know, there is a grain of truth to all of that.
Yeah.
The opening line is, credulity is not a virtue.
Oh, and filed under irony, I would like to point out that the Seniors Party of Canada does not have a website.
Hurry up and vote before they die.
Yeah.
I so wanna grab the website.
I could just hear the subtext of the Seniors Party. We guarantee our own term limits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I like that.
that's freaking brilliant.
Wow.
That doesn't exactly work for the Supreme Court.
I think about guys like Strom Thurmond and Jesse Helms. Like, didn't they live till like they were like 300 years old or something?
Something like
Yeah.
that.
I'm pretty sure Helms was there when Washington made it into office.
Well, the logical next step for this kind of the Seniors Party is, like, you know, taking the puppet president to the next level. I mean, you know, he gets elected, he dies, and it's, oh, but he's rooting us from the other world.
Weekend at Bernie's, man.
No,
Let's make him sent to the dead president.
yeah. So you got
Telling
the
him
weekend.
the other side.
Yeah. See, you've got the weekend at Bernie's party taking care of, you know, the corpse, but then you'd have the Bridge party working in the background, saying, you know, like, we're communicating to him with the other side.
You know
It's
what?
our community and that community.
You know what, Dylan? You know,
That'd be a coalition party right there.
Dylan, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say it. You know what? With everything that's been going on this last couple of weeks over here, fuck you talking about Bernie like that. Really, Jesus, what is wrong with you?
You know, it's really too bad that the Natural Law Party has been deregistered, because those guys, like, do you remember them, Dallin? That was Doug Henning's party with the Flying Yogis.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he was hot.
Yeah, well,
Hey, you know,
look up
That's why so
look
many
up
people do yoga courses. Yoga
look
teachers.
up flying yogis on YouTube. You will laugh yourself stupid because
No,
they're like butt hopping in a lotus position.
no,
Oh.
no, don't do that. Please don't do that. Really,
Come on,
really don't do
I
that.
did a whole segment on my show about it. Do it.
Look, as much as we would like to invite you guys to go ahead and do that, we would like you guys to actually come back. We don't want you having a brain embolism because you went ahead and you watched those
Oh,
videos.
they'll be back
Oh,
for
come
more.
on.
It's like sticking your finger in a light socket, you know.
It was a little big first thing in the morning.
Why don't we?
And they were going to solve the world's problems with transcendental meditation.
Yeah, that's right.
And the hopping yogi thing. Yes.
Bunny foo foo hop doo doo bum. Sorry, really like to sit in.
Yep. Yeah, I won't sing. We had extra lyrics for that song at my camp.
We're not going to use them. We're not going to. Miss you, Bunny.
Which
Love you, Ton. Love you,
which
hon.
oddly enough was a church camp, but we still had the extra lyrics.
Well, where else would you come up with extra lyrics than other than church camp, really?
Well, yeah.
You know.
Touche.
You know, if anything, a camp like that would spark that kind of creativity because anything to get out of what you're normally doing.
Repression.
Just saying.
One last thing I wanted to point out, because I thought this was kind of ironic. The Party for Accountability, Competency, and Transparency was actually deregistered, like, right now, as of midnight now, according to the website.
I see. What would have been awesome is if they got decommissioned or delisted due to them covering up illegal appropriation of funds or something.
Yeah, that would kind of be funny. They just didn't. I don't know what keeps them registered, if they have a certain number of members or what, but it just says deregistered 07/31/2016. I'm like, well, that's ironic. And they were the ones that were actually going to make the politicians take like courses on how to be a politician.
That actually makes some kind of sense.
It does.
It makes a whole lot of sense.
It does.
I know.
It does. I mean, over here, even kids who grew up in the 70s got at least some civics learning here in the U.S. from Schoolhouse Rock, of all things.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
I
you remember
those.
that. Schoolhouse Rock.
do.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was done by... Okay, really quick.
I'm just a bill.
Yeah.
I am only a bill.
Yeah, the thing that was absolutely amazing to me about it, finding out afterwards, was that it was done as a sideline project by an advertising firm in New York City. It was a sideline thing on a lark,
Right.
and it became one of the. I mean, shit. You can't. Okay, even if you are not from the U.S., Schoolhouse Rock, if you ignore the American political portion of it all, is an amazing piece of learning for kids or adults. And actually, I should have. Shit, I wish I. You know what? Shit, I should have done that. I should have bought a copy, a DVD, and sent it down to Nick Morganmore, so he could learn and remember all the stuff. I mean, hell, the little one has actually listened to pieces of it, and she actually asked one of her teachers, "Is it okay if I'm humming a song in the middle of a test?" Why? Well, Schoolhouse Rock.
Junction.
Yeah, and the preamble to the constant. Yeah. Don't sing it out loud though. Just, okay,
I can't sing.
you don't have to. You just gotta run it through your head. But we gotta see about wrapping a little bit earlier for a change. So let me pitch this out to you guys, and see where you guys want to individually take it. we've got the political systems that we've got individually in each of our respective countries currently. Like I said, we've got 2 majors and a whole bunch of very, very minors in the U.S. You guys have got 7 dozen.
Well, we've got 4. Well, technically, the way we look at it is we've got 2 that pretty much always have a chance. The third one that kind of, sort of, maybe someday. And now we've got the Greens that are like, they get invited to the party. That's kind of about it. So technically 4. Quebec, they've got the Bloc, so that's like a half over there.
Yeah.
But they're viable organizations.
Yeah.
They are.
What's that? Yeah.
And Joseph stepped away for a moment. He'll be right back. But like he was saying, 5, give or take, that are viable candidates and such in the political sphere. I guess what I would like to see us closing through with at the moment is what's the good part to having more? Not necessarily for us on the U.S. side to say, why should we have more? But what ends up being the benefit to having larger numbers of viable candidate parties and ultimately viable candidates, even if it does end up being kind of lower on the totem by comparison. Heretic, well, let me fire you over there first, because you've had dealings with this also, because you've seen so many different things, and taking into account your love for the House of Saud single political party, because you've seen what that's like.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So,
well, and it prevents, I think, because right now there's all this rumblings of, is we won't get into specifics with you guys, but I've heard rumblings that one candidate might have been in cahoots with the other candidate and, sort of forcing a certain ideology regardless and yada yada. You're not going to get that when we've got 4 viable parties, because there's no way in hell you're getting all 4 of them to agree, I guarantee you. Because the Greens are even kind of left than the NDP, and those 2 don't even get along. And then we've got even more left than that. Like, we've got 2 different brands of communists that are, like, way left of the Greens. So it's much, much, much less possible for such collusion to happen if it were. And things like the way our system is too, like, issues with how leadership conventions are handled. Most of Canadians don't even pay attention to the damn leadership convention. It's like, oh, they'll let us know who they pick as the next leader of the party, and that's kind of like, oh, it was that person, who's that? Like, nobody even pays any attention. You have to, like, be a registered member to even go to that. So it's much less conducive to the levels of corruption that are being bandied about as far as American politics goes. And I would just like to point out, too, that the weird French party that only cares about the St. Lawrence Valley is called Force et Démocratie. Allez les forces de nos régions. But Force et Démocratie.
Bless you.
They, yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just for that, Bridget, you get to go next.
Well, I think as far as some other countries' political processes go, I would like to see more coalition governments, and right now with the 2-party system, we don't have that possibility. I think with the coalition government, you would have to work out some things and make some compromises, and that's one thing that's been lost here over the last 10 or 15 years is working together across the aisle to form a coalition and to compromise. And
Well,
that's
get
what
rid of
politics
the.
is all about. Politics is all about compromise, and right now we have no compromise at all. You're either,
That that could
GOP.
be changed if you get rid of the filibuster.
Well, no, it's not the filibuster. Right now, there is an ideology amongst the GOP of, they're so far right, there's no compromise at all. If the
Yeah, but they
Democrats
can
suggest it, we
enforce that.
automatically say no, and we don't care what the shit it is, how good it is,
But
but
why
no,
can they
we're
say
the party
no?
of no.
They're the minority. How can they bully the rest of
Well, right now the
system
GOP
like that?
have control of the Senate and the House, and
Mm.
they are quote unquote the party of no. So if President Obama suggests anything at all, he could say, "I'm in favor of breathing oxygen," and they would say no and suffocate themselves and die.
Yeah.
And so I would love to see a coalition and people working across the aisles like they used to do 20 years ago when we had true statesmen. Right now, we don't have that, and we need to get back to that because, but 20 years ago, even if we had a split presidency in, House and the Senate, they would still work together, and they might not get all of what they wanted, but they would still work things out together and get something done. And we need to get back to that.
Well, the voter representation has to be represented in the government. I mean, if 40% of the people vote a certain way and 60% another, well, those 40%, their voices, they're not in power. They don't have absolute power, but their voices are still there. They still have to be heard.
Right.
And that should
that's
affect
what compromise, and that's what politics is about, is compromise and working together to get things done. And since Obama has been elected, I don't know if it's because he's a black dude, if it's because he's Democrat, if it's both, but the GOP now, the far right, have been like, no, we don't care what he says, no. And they will not work across the aisle. And 20 years ago, they worked together to get things done regardless of political affiliation. We need to get back to that.
I'm going to say that it's more from column A than column B in that reasoning.
And
Republicans,
if Hillary is elected, we will have more of the same because she is a woman. And they're going to be like, oh, hell no, you're a woman.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything you want.
But they might be in the minority.
No,
but we don't know
yet.
Joseph.
They're going to shut her down just like they did him, just because.
Because even when the Republicans had,
dude.
when the Republicans had only 40% of Congress, and they were still able to block everything.
And they will do so again with her in there, even as much as him, because she's not an old white dude. If she wants to do anything, they're going to shut her down ASAP. Just because they can.
Going off on a kind of a tangent, but it's kind of, no, not really a tangent, but it's like a side note, because what does the Republican Party represent? And I mean, you've got voters voting against their own interests and voting for people who are only concerned for their own interests or their buddies or whatever. And for me, it comes down to the Republicans. Basically, they just want to impose a no-thought dictate.
Yeah.
Where they set the rules and the people obey, and they don't think and they don't question.
They're other. I can't say it. Authoritarians.
Authoritarians, yeah.
Authoritarians.
And Democrats, they actually want you to think for yourself, but not too much.
It's like herding cats. You can't get Democrats to agree on anything.
If I can break in here, though.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, the talk about the Republicans having this authoritarian stance. There is...
oligarchical, I think would be better.
Well, in either case, I watched the keynote speech, or the opening speech from the American Atheist Convention. I think it was last year, where David Silverman came up. Now, say what you will about him. He did attend, what is it, CPAC?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, he showed up there with all of his paraphernalia and stuff, like having people wear buttons saying conservative atheist or atheist conservative, either way. He was talking, though, with several members of the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what he said, and you can actually reference the speech for it if you can find it. I don't know if it's on YouTube or not.
We talk about it on my show.
Well, there
I
you
was
go.
there. I heard it.
Wow.
Okay, so if I mess this up, please correct me.
I'm sure they will.
And by the way, Rich, now you're coming in good.
It's because I'm doing this.
Yeah, but there is a culture of fear within the ranks, because the Palins, and you know what? I'm going to say it now. The Pences, all these other figureheads that we're seeing nowadays, with the religious ideology, are basically scaring and kowtowing the members of the party who actually want to help the American people, who want to be part of that coalition you were talking about earlier.
Yes.
They can't raise their voice because the party itself is under an internal dictatorship by these figureheads.
Yes.
And like when Silverman told me that made me see things in a very different light. It's that the party itself has got to do some serious cleaning out of their own closet.
Yeah.
But right now is not really the time, because we're gearing up towards the election. I'm hoping that afterwards, if and I know it's becoming a bigger if each time, but if Donny Boy does not make it, I hope, and you know what, I will sacrifice garlic to the flying spaghetti monster over this, that the GOP does take a serious, hard look at itself and start cleaning out the garbage that has led them to this road to ruin.
Well,
But
people were coming up to them at the CPAC, and their merchandise was gone like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he was
I
saying.
have to hide this. Don't let anybody see this. I'm not taking this.
The Republican Party is basically, it's the party of old white men who have an advantage and want to keep it. And they don't want you to look too hard at what they're doing. They don't want that accountability. They would rather operate from behind the scenes, which is why they push forward the likes of Bush and all that. But Trump actually is working against them, because people actually are going to start looking hard at what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's drawing attention to them that they don't want, basically.
Yeah. I worry about the next generation, though.
Figurehead, and they said, okay, vote for this guy, and over there, him, vote for him, all right, he'll change everything, listen to him, while the old white boys in the back room can just continue whatever they want to, do. Just like unfettered, unhindered, unchallenged, unquestioned.
Yeah, Dallin, I got to see about getting this wrapped over. So
sorry.
No, it's okay.
No, I'm sorry.
For the overall, having multiple groups, your piece, good, bad, better, worse.
I look at it as a free market economy.
Yeah.
The people are going to select a product that they want, and if you
but
offer
who
them
chooses
more,
the product?
Let him get
sorry.
your piece, and you'll have your chance.
this is what I'm saying. This is why we had like 18 political parties. Yeah, some of them were a joke. Some of them are taking advantage of the fact that we can register them. But things like, we had the Reform Party, we had the Progressive Conservatives, we've had other big,
still alive too.
yeah, we've had other big ones in the past that they've been merging, they've been shucking and jiving, whatever. But the fact is that just there's more products out there, and there should be more products out there. Who decides? It's whoever can get the influence, or whoever can get the support they need to become an established enough party that they can get a seat at the table. And if there's enough public push behind them to do it, then they should be allowed to at least be considered, i.e. they should be one of the products that the people can choose. And then you let the market choose. You let the people decide. You know,
but that requires critical thought.
I know. But if you have more than two choices out there, you already have more variety. And believe me, when the people, at least in Canada, when they do make decisions, we saw when Chrétien came to power, I believe, we saw the Conservative Party down to 2 seats, I believe, in the legislature. When the Conservative Party finally slammed down the last of the minority elections, thank you, Jack Layton, the Liberals got spanked so hard they just about got out of existence. So that's the thing. When the people are presented with enough choices and can finally make the choice they want, it can have consequences to the other political parties.
Canada's better off than the Americans in that way, but still, it kind of scares me when I think to the Bernie Clinton race. You know, if you're somebody who thinks rationally, you'd look at the system and say, okay, we need change, and the rational choice would be Bernie. Mm-hmm. But Clinton got through because of a lot of people saying, well, I'm going to vote for Hillary because Bernie can't win, which is totally irrational, self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well,
it's just it's a total lack of skepticism, critical thought. You know, so if you're going to turn every vote into a popularity contest and everybody's going to imitate everybody else, and I mean, all thought ends there. Basically, what I'm saying is, if you really want fairness and democracy, that requires skepticism and critical thought.
And this was a popularity contest. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, I had an exchange with old Fart about this. I said, you know, the Democrats put forth a black man. That turned a lot of people's heads.
Yeah.
So how do you follow up the one punch? You follow it up with the 1-2 punch. The 2 punch being, now it's a woman.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll bet folding money the next candidate they run is going to be a black woman. I bet you Michelle Obama will be the next Democratic candidate. Because that would be the final haymaker.
I don't think it works in the same way, though, because the Democratic Party didn't put forth Obama. Obama, he fought tooth and nail against Hillary, even back then, to get the the Democratic convention.
I don't know. It just, to me, like, first you have a black man, now you have a woman.
That would be funny as hell, and I would have to vote for her.
It just
the Republicans are always putting forward like puppet whatever, but not the Democrats.
Angry white men.
So if they nominate Michelle Obama, does Melania get to write her speech?
Yeah.
Don't you get to polarize it?
Yes.
Joseph, really quickly, then let's see what you want to finish off with. Multiple groups, good, bad, better, worse.
Yeah. For me, it always comes down to the same thing. I mean, for me, the central problem for everything is humans who think critically and those who don't. And humans who allow themselves to be led unquestionably by others without any accountability and all that. And it goes the same in politics, it's the same in religion and all that. It's, letting somebody else decide everything for you. That may have worked back in the days when the world was less populated, but with our technology, that our intellect should at least make an effort to keep up with, and with our overpopulation, I really don't think a dictate is possible anymore. So critical thought, in education, everybody learn how to do it, and that'll fix a lot of things.
So I'm gonna close off going off of this. Like I said earlier, yes, if you came to the end of the show because you were looking to find out what it was that I was going to lay out as far as to our official stance, jump back by about an hour and a half or so, and you will hear what it was, because time zone. We had something. I actually remembered. There's a reason for it. We'll explain it later. Actually, we explained it before. Time travel sucks.
The show finale. You missed it.
The show finale happened about halfway through, half an hour into the show. You missed it.
We were done.
And we were done, and we rolled credits. So, welcome to the whatever the hell it is. And
After show.
Good having numbers, bad having numbers. Good. More better. More is better, and it's got a lot to do with a lot of the pieces that we were already talking about, as far as I'm concerned. Stop the gerrymandering. First off, get into power, get into places where you can actually stop gerrymandering. Change the districts so that they are actually following lines that we've already got. Yeah, they should be following the lines that we've already got in place. Use the counties. The county lines are already laid out.
Mm-hmm.
Lay them out so that they are actually, following the population centers, because you can figure that part out. If you put them out there, if they are squares to begin with, and you lay out the lines so that they are diamonds or triangles, but they're even, at least as far as the population is supposed to go, because you've got regular census data, you can make that work. And it doesn't have to go nuts. How many different groups should there be for election cycles? You know what? How many states do we have? Why don't we have a group for every state? Why can't we have an election cycle that runs kind of the same way that what we were talking about, where you've got 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 different election cycles that have to happen? You at the town level, or at the county level. Let's go there. At the county level, you've got a group that you want to go ahead and say, I want this group to be, and they tally those votes. Okay, the county has been won by popular vote, not election votes, not electoral votes, by popular vote to this group. They move up to the state level. All of the counties vote on who is supposed to represent the state. And can that be abused because of places like New York City? Of course it can. But you know what? You have the populace voting. You don't deal with the electoral college. You're dealing with a popular vote. And then you get to go ahead and say, how many groups are there out there? There's 50 groups altogether? Great. Who are they all standing for? What are they all standing for? What are their platforms? Now you have to try to learn what they all are. That's the embodiment of critical thinking. Learn about and make a value judgment. Which ones do you like? I like this guy first. I like this guy second. I like this guy third. Okay, cool. Let's tabulate the votes. Follow them down. The votes flow down to whoever it is doesn't win or does win, and you vote your way up. And when all is said and done, whoever has the popular vote wins. You're not voting for points on a board. You're voting for the hearts and minds and the expectations of the American populace.
And that's what a democracy is.
And what's wrong with this picture? What's wrong with this picture is it's become a perversion of what it could be. The great experiment is crumbling at its own seams because people have been allowed to nibble at the cookie. And nibble at the cookie. And nibble at the cookie. Until they've got something that is not a cookie anymore. It's whatever crumbs have been left behind in whatever shape they've been left behind in. You want to change things? You want to make America great again? You want to make any country great again? Start by making it fair. Making it equitable. Making it so that people who are supposed to have a hand in voting have their hand in it. There's very little that I can do myself. There's very little that any one person can do. But you get a bunch of people to work towards a goal. It's amazing how that works. Oh, actually, if you studied the Greeks, no, you wouldn't be surprised. Because that's part of what we were designed on. And a lot of cultures in Western world were.
That's where we left off, in my opinion.
And that's part of the reason why my vote is for more. As always, thank you very much for joining us. We hope that you've enjoyed and found something worthwhile in all of our perspectives. And who knows, with any luck, maybe some change does come from it all. I won't think necessarily that that's going to happen, but my vanity takes the better of me sometimes. As always, thank you guys for being with us tonight, and especially this morning. Joseph, thank you very kindly. Have yourself a good morning. It looks like it's going to be a bright, beautiful day for you.
Yeah, I just noticed the time. Yeah. Sun came up while we were during the show.
Yep.
Yeah, it was
Birds were quiet.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, you know what? Next time, throw some bird seed out the window or something.
Oh yeah, that's gonna get rid of them. That's brilliant.
No, it'll shut them. It'll shut them up while they're eating.
I was waiting for the pellet gun to come out, actually.
They'll come to my sill, and nobody will get a word in edgewise.
That'll work out great. So, meanwhile, good luck with all of the work that you're doing over there. Do you have anything to be plugging at the moment?
No.
Fair enough.
Spackle, that's what he's plugging.
Ah,
I don't even know what
literally.
that is.
That,
It's drywall stuff.
Yeah, he'll be plugging the holes in the wall.
Yeah,
Oh,
plugging
hold
the
it
holes
up.
in
Plug
the
in the hole in the wall. Yes.
well, you're still with us at this point, so you haven't
My
screwed
quantum
anything.
suppositions.
Yeah, you haven't screwed anything up with the electrical part. So good on you.
I am still here.
Good man. Bridget, of course, as always, you have yourself a good morning. Get yourself some sleep. And what have you got to be plugging tonight?
My blog, bridgetfitch.2112.wordpress.com, and I will be updating it tomorrow, following up on this conversation that we just had.
Brilliant. And of course, I will have the links that you had. I'll make sure that those are in the notes for us.
Thanks.
Heretic Woman,
Yes.
the clock is ticking.
Well, of course, I am always on Beyond the Trailer Park, which is Monday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. You can find out our locations on beyondthetrailerpark.com. We now broadcast simultaneously live on Spreaker and on YouTube. We have the live chat over on the Spreaker side now, so you can go over and chat with us. I still am using the Q&A just for now because some folks are kind of used to that, but we'll see how it goes. We've used Spreaker twice now, and this week will be the third time. This week we're kind of winging it. My niece, Samantha, will be in the studio with me because it's a civic holiday and she doesn't have to work for once. So she will be with us, and we're just going to... I'm probably going to start talking about these weird new political parties because there's some weird stuff that's popped up there, but it's going to be a free-for-all. The following week, though, I'm really excited. We're having a fellow named Pete Griffiths, who is an ex-Scientologist all the way from Ireland, who will be joining us at 2 o'clock in the morning Irish time, so that's pretty awesome. He actually sued the Church of Scientology himself, and we'll get into that. That's in 2 weeks' time. So yeah, the big thing is, of course, that we're live on Spreaker, and you can come and chat with us live while the show is on. So yeah, and yeah, we got Patreon and all that crap, but we'll save that for the show.
Excellent. And Dallin, of course, thank you very much, and congratulations on surviving the last trip that you had, getting your butt home and.
Yeah, that could be a topic for an entire show.
Yeah, one of these days.
Yeah, no, it's good to be back. Good to be back in the saddle again. Yeah, life and other things just kind of kept me from it. And well, things are looking a little bit clearer now, so I should be back next week.
Cool. And just wanted to let you know, I did actually go over to the website and clean out all of those spam messages finally.
Oh,
I've been bad about that.
You too, because I actually did that, I think, a couple of days ago. If it's filled up that badly again, wow.
Well, yeah. Well, see, here's the thing. We do have a thing that's supposed to keep spam comments from showing up on the website, which it does. It does do a good job of that. I would say that. Yeah. The problem of it is it then accumulates into the system that says, "Hey, you need to verify this or kill it," and that loads up real fast.
Yeah. I'll be going in there tomorrow to do some more cleaning and to do some posting. So
thank you very much for that. And what do we plug for you other than, of course, our little doodad?
Well, we got that little doodad. We also got me, I want to say the only Tumblrite that makes sense. It's at robotechtiger.tumblr.com. A lot of guys on YouTube, they yell and scream about, how anybody who's got a blog on Tumblr is an idiot. Please visit my blog and see if I'm the exception to the rule. And if it turns out I'm just as much an idiot as that, you know what? I'll move sites. All right.
Cool. So, for those of you that are looking to get in touch with us, please, by all means, feel free. You can send us an email anytime over at podcast@holycrapthevlogcast.com. The voicemail line is, of course, always open and ready to believe you with proper empirical evidence. That's 859-HCTV-554. 859-4288-554. One of these days I'm going to do this like the Brits do it. 859-4288-554. That just does not work for me. I can't do that. I will never do that.
You said so yourself. You've only had one cup of coffee.
I didn't even have that. I had a cup of tea. I have to get back to having
some flack.
Well, see, there's a reason for that. All right. Before I explain that really quickly, and of course, holycrapthevlogcast.com has got all the links as well as the download for the audio podcast version. I also wanted to put out a real quick personal message to, and I believe I'm going to pronounce it correctly, Karine Chaboy, I believe is how it's pronounced. She is a wonderful artist. She is a storyboard artist, and as of yesterday, as a matter of fact, Saturday, July 30th, she had her, I believe it's the first episode of My Little Pony that she worked on air, which was very, very cool to see. She worked on the first half of the episode, and she's got a couple of others that are coming up, and I'm very proud to say that not only do I know her and get the chance to talk to her each year at Fertile Equinox in March, but one of the pictures that as a matter of fact, a picture that she did for me several years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Of the Tribble on Air.
Aww, I love
Very
that.
nice.
Yep, she did that. I got it framed and everything because I love this. I use this as a picture frame as I'm recording my sessions at Anthrocon and Fertile Equinox. I love that. But she's I'm going to be seeing about having her do a specific piece for me fairly soon. But that's a whole other thing for later, and we'll talk about that a little bit another time. And I did want to also mention that even though he was not over here, Chris did let us know, of course, that he is working towards the amateur boxing match that's going to be happening at Preston Guild Hall for cancer research in the UK. The link for that is in the show notes, but if you want to go ahead and find it, it's justgiving.com/fundraising/Chris-Samson2. So probably easier for you just to go over to the show notes and figure it from there. Because fuck cancer. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and say it because we pretty much all feel the same way.
This is Peach's not kitty cow.
I was gonna say there's an orange cat butt in the frame.
Yeah, it's Peach's.
I am
Smoke your
not
cat
saying it.
butts.
I got 2 of those, but they're both sleeping right now.
She's never joined the show before. She says, "Hey."
That's great.
She just belted Bridget in the nose with her tail.
And got that on camera and everything. That's great.
Yep.
Saved
She
for
loves
posterity.
To quote one of my favorite podcast authors, photo grenade.
Oh yeah, there's nothing like getting a full-on cat tail to the face.
And finally, for those of you that have been following me over on Facebook and such, yes, I'm steadily working on trying to get myself into much better shape for a project that is yet to be announced here, really, because not part of this fiasco. But if you want to find out a little bit more about that, follow me over on Facebook and Twitter. You'll probably find information about it a little bit later. The fact that I was able to get on my bike, and at the end of this week, my fastest time, admittedly downhill, is now clocking in at a little over 42 kilometers per hour for my highest speed. That's not too bad.
That's
I've
good.
still got it's pretty good. Admittedly, like I said, it's a little downhill, but you know what? I'm
That's
working
awesome.
long term.
I'm proud of you.
No, it's still early yet. I've still got to get through to July of next year because, Dallin, July next year, it's a long ways away, isn't it? Not
It
so
is
much.
indeed. Yeah, no.
Now, for what I'm working on, but we'll tell you about that project another time, maybe.
It's like blink and that 6 becomes a 7.
Yeah, tell me about it. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week, and next week's show is already lined up. We are going to be having Callie Wright on with us because of a story that broke last week, I believe it was. A transgendered student in high school who got basically barked at by one of the administration who took umbrage at the choice of bathroom, the only administrator who had a problem with this apparently, and then one of the deciding things that they were going to see about instituting was colored wristbands.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this one was an immediate for me when I read it, and my immediate reaction was, Callie, you, me, my show. Are you in? And basically came down to, oh yeah,
That's
I'm in.
what she said.
That is quite literally what she said.
Yeah.
And oh, don't do this to me this time of night.
Sorry.
So
Sweet.
next week we will have Callie on.
In.
I have not asked, but I may ask someone else to be on as well. I will discuss that to a certain degree with the rest of the staff momentarily when we get off the air. But yeah, so we'll be looking forward to having you all with us next week because, I mean, come on, if nothing else, Callie, please, really.
She gives the best hugs.
You know what? You say that because you haven't met me yet.
Well, that's true. That's true. Next year, Reason Con. Be there.
That's my plan. Whether I need to go into a little bit of debt to do it or not, I still plan.
I'll have to go into that, but I'll be there.
So in the meantime, we'll be looking forward to seeing you and a number of other people next week right here. And no, I'm not going to say same bat time, same bat channel, because that would be wrong. Meantime, take very good care of yourselves. We will see you later. As always, I wish you the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I have learned. I wish you well. And of course, as always, for my lady, 11 years on, I am still in love with you. Matane Fujin, I love you and I miss you. Dream of me. Till the next time we get together, of course, as always, good night.